Alright, so I am currently driving. Well, I'm not driving, my husband is driving, but we are driving. We are in Arizona. I haven't done as many videos as I normally would because we've been traveling, but I was working on my blog today. I'm trying to get this done before we get home so I can work on month 9. But this is block 8.1. This is actually the last one I have to do. The other two were fairly easy, so I started with those. We did the middle part in my last video, so if you missed that, make sure you check that out. And now I'm putting on the other pieces. So I'm not going to show my stitching just because it's hard to do that in the car, but I wanted to give you a little theory on how I'll do it, and I'll check back in. So when you have these outer pieces to put around a middle in these blocks, I found it's easier to stitch all around the middle first and kind of leave these edges undone. Otherwise, sometimes you end up with a gap when you go to stitch around the middle, and it just makes it more difficult. So normally I do like to go kind of across and down like that, so I'm not wasting as much thread. But I've just found for better precision, it's better if you just go all the way around, which you can do with just one thread, so it works out anyways. And then when we go to set these pieces in, then we'll go down, we'll go up and down like that. So that's where we're going to start. I have my my board here in the car, so my pieces don't go everywhere, so I can keep track of where everything goes. This is just batting on a foam board, so it keeps track of everything for me. So we'll start stitching right at the top, and then I'll show you my progress as I go. Okay, so I just wanted to show the first one that I'm lining up. So I'm going to do this top piece here, and the easiest way to line it up is just make sure that all your edges on the hexagon line up. You're not seeing more of a gap on this side than this side. And you can see on my top here, my pieces, this piece is a little bit longer than this piece. We'll just ease that in as we go. So what I'll do is I'll stitch from here to the middle and then kind of shift it up to line that up. It's really not that big a deal. You don't have to redo it. EPP is probably the most forgiving of all sewing methods. You just kind of make it work, and once all these papers come out, it just eases into itself. So don't worry if you have that kind of issue. I'm not worried at all. So I will sew that first line and then show you what it looks like. So I stitched the first edge here. You can see that. I just wanted to show a couple of tricks. So first of all, on these sew tights, which are amazing, I love them over the clips because they don't get caught. My thread doesn't get caught as much. But don't try to pull these apart. What you want to do is you want to slide them apart. Just slide it down and it'll come right off. So if you have a hard time with your hands, that makes a huge difference in taking those apart. I'll show the edge here. So what I normally do is just put it back into place, and then I can keep sewing with my next one. So my thread comes out here, so I'm going to do this one next. I'll just put it face down, and then we'll stitch this edge next, and then just keep going all the way around. The other tip I wanted to give you is when you end an edge, so right here, I always tie a knot. So I tie a knot when I start a thread, so I started here, I tie a knot, and I always tie a knot when I end an edge, even if I'm continuing on with my thread. This way, if for some reason I mess up on this other edge, I can unstitch up to that knot, and I don't have to unstitch all the way around. So definitely when you end an edge, tie a knot and then just keep going. I do not tie a knot at the beginning again though, if my thread is just continuing. That way it's easier to unstitch it if I have to. There's only one knot to undo. So hopefully that makes sense. Alright, so we will keep stitching this all the way around, and I'll show you some more progress as we go. So I stitched this edge, and then I just stitched this edge. I left it connected for right now. So I just wanted to show, I just have a little bit of thread left, so I tied it off and I'll start a new one. I could keep going, but it's going to be tight, so, you know, thread isn't that expensive, so don't push yourself too hard with that. So I just slide those apart, open it up, so we have 3 pieces done. And each time I finish one, I do lay it back down to make sure that I'm getting the right one in the right position. But you can see I'm just stitching the edges that are against the center medallion, and then we'll worry about stitching these later. And I do like a little bit of an overlap here, but that'll all get fixed out when I stitch that, so don't worry about any of that. So yeah. Alright, so we will keep going and I'll show you once I'm done. Okay, So I was getting ready to stitch my next edge, which was right here, and I noticed that this edge on this pink diamond is a little high. So let's see if you can see that. It goes up a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to open that up, which I can do here. So I just open it up a little bit, you can see that, and I'm actually going to re-glue that down and tighten it up a little bit, so that when I go to stitch this edge eventually, this won't be in the way. So I will re-glue that and show you the difference. Okay, so I re-glued that and it's laying much flatter now. You can see it's much more straight. That'll actually be my next edge that I do, because I'm stitching this edge right now. But that'll help me when I do that to not have that extra bulk there. So sometimes when I'm gluing, it's hard around the edges. It doesn't quite go down as far as I would like. So very occasionally I just re-glue them before I start stitching. So, alright, so we will just keep on stitching and we'll show you once we're done. Okay, so I finally finished my last side here, you can see. So, I'll just take this off, and it's all done. So I just have these flaps. So what we'll do is we have more green diamonds that are going to get inset here, and we'll end up sewing like this and then down, and that'll tack those down. But that's how I find when I sew these sides first that I end up with a little bit of gap on the top and bottom here, and it doesn't quite work. So I just find sewing it directly to the middle works best. So as usual, if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments below. If you want to see any other specific videos, let me know, and I will do another video with the rest of this diamond for you guys. Thanks everyone.